What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. I hope you guys had an amazing weekend, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your weekend. So in today's video, we're going to go over the overall markets. I see some really interesting things going on with the correlation between Bitcoin and the stock market. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about things that I see in the technical indicators, and we're going to go ahead and talk about some trades that we made on Friday. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. So number one, on Friday, I posted some levels of support that needed to hold. We broke these levels intraday, and then as we broke back above, I got into some calls, and these calls were really good. So now currently on Twitter, I posted these plays, and I post everything for free. So go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I posted some swings over the weekend because we were already up on these calls. Essentially, I went and took profits on these, and I bought into some cheaper plays for overnight weekend hold, right? So I'm bullish going into Monday, and I'm gonna go ahead and explain why. So number one, here is the SPY, right? And you can see this yellow MACD line is clearly very far below zero. So now to shift the momentum to the upside, this blue MACD line needs to cross above and remain above abruptly for at least a few days for this yellow line to start slowly, turning upwards. Because right now you can clearly see that it's moving downwards, right? So now to make this momentum start moving upwards, we need to see an abrupt move to the upside. The MACD blue line needs to cross above, and then it needs to help lift up the average of this yellow MACD line. So essentially, because it looks like we're about to cross back above, usually when there's any sort of simple moving average crossover, exponential moving average crossover, etc., those things tend to be bullish, right? So number one, we see a potential shift in the MACD to the upside, right? Number two, I already gave these levels intraday on Friday, so then I was already bullish because I made money on these calls. And number three, this move was extremely bullish. We came and reclaimed 1, 2, 3, 4 previous days and essentially closed above the 50% level of this prior candle here. All right. So we closed right below the 200 simple moving average. So heading into Monday and into next week, this blue trend line here that essentially is going to be at 443.67 on Monday. That is going to be the main level of resistance. And we can see that it basically coincides perfectly with the 10 simple moving average as well. So if the SPY can really start breaking above this blue trend line, then we can easily see 447, and then we can easily see a retest of this 50% Fibonacci level. That would cause the MACD, the blue level of the MACD, to become very overbought, right? Which is completely fine, but then it would make this yellow line potentially start moving upwards as well. And that would be a signal towards a shift in the momentum to the upside. And that would be a very good sign for the stock market moving forward, right? But something that's very that we need to monitor is the correlation between Bitcoin and the SPY. Because Bitcoin is open 24 hours a day, right? So right now, because hedge funds and banks have heavily started to begin investing in the crypto markets, a lot of the indicators and because they're both securities, there are many similarities now, okay? So right now, Bitcoin currently, the blue level of the MACD crossed above the zero line, and this yellow MACD line, because we've abruptly started to move upwards, is starting to curl upwards just a bit. We also worked out of oversold on the RSI as well. But now this isn't the most bullish scenario for Bitcoin, okay? So because this doesn't look as bullish on Bitcoin, it's not an automatic reason to not be bullish on the stock market. But we have to keep this in mind that, yes, we did cross above on the MACD, yet Bitcoin truly failed to really cross above any key levels of resistance at 39,000, at 39,600. But moving forward, we should be keying off of Bitcoin's strength in the pre-market as well as, overnight to see the overall strength of the stock market as a whole. So the fact that this happened with the MACD on Bitcoin and the fact that we did start staircasing up on Bitcoin could be a good sign, in my opinion, for the stock market. And that's why I wanted to bring this up earlier on into the video. So we saw Bitcoin staircasing up for the past few days, right? But now for the SPY, if the SPY can start breaking above these levels of resistance here, and the MACD will essentially start moving up as much as Bitcoin's MACD, that would be a pretty good sign for the SPY, and then potentially we can come back and retest 450. So that is a pretty good, risk reward trade. It's why I, wanted to go long. And yeah, there are multiple reasons to go to the upside in the short term, because as of yet, the Fed has not changed interest rates yet, right? So currently it pays to be bullish until we get a definitive change in the macroeconomic outlook. Not only the outlook, a macroeconomic change in policy as well. All right, so right now the SPY is looking decent to the upside, and this level of resistance is going to be very, very important. But of course, to really, really gauge the strength of the stock market, we have to look at, the 30-year bonds as well. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at the IWM. So here's the IWM. Number one, we see there's positive divergence in the RSI on the IWM. So what that means is the price of the IWM was falling. All right, so the price was falling, yet the RSI was making higher lows here. Okay, so that is a positive sign to the upside. Number two, we see the RSI held this level of support very, very well. All right, and number three, it looks like the MACD is about to cross above on the IWM as well. So multiple reasons to play this bounce to the upside. Intraday, I bought these levels as well, worked out. So that's why heading into Monday and into next week, I'm more bullishly biased. So a retest to this 201.46 level will be very, very possible if the rest of the market starts moving upwards as well. And we can see that this had a very nice bounce off of this very, very important support level. And currently, there's multiple reasons to go long. The closest level of resistance, even if you don't want to look at this trend line here, would be the 10 simple moving average. And by Monday, the 10 simple moving average will probably be around 199.50 to 200. So regardless, there is at least another 4 or 5 points to the upside before we hit any super major level of resistance. So especially because the IWM has been beaten down so much, there could be a short-term bounce. And, that's essentially Friday, the low of Friday, we were down 23% on the IWM in the past 3 months. So, it does make sense to go long over the weekend to play a short-term bounce. As you know, we play these bounces and we hold them maybe for like a few days at a time. I showed you guys a document which basically explains how to manage your risk and your reward, where to set your stop losses, how to trade properly in these environments. And currently we're short-term bullish heading into the next week. So it is what it is. We have multiple reasons to go bullish on the IWM. But the SPY also looks pretty bullish. And if the SPY and the rest of the market can follow Bitcoin's lead in terms of the MACD crossing above like this, it could be a good sign for the stock market, especially due to the seasonality of the stock market. There usually is highs heading into February and mid-February. So let's see if that persists. So there's my analysis on the IWM. All right. Now we need to take a look at the large tech stocks, the 30-year bond, and of course the NASDAQ. All right, taking a look at Apple. Clearly, the MACD crossed above very strongly. The yellow line of the MACD was obviously moving downwards. And this is what I think can end up happening with the entire market. So if Apple did this, I feel like the SPY can also do this as well. So we see that the blue line of the MACD crossed above the yellow. And now the yellow is starting to flatten out. And then as Apple goes higher, the yellow line can start to curl back upwards and then maintain its momentum to the upside. So right now, Apple closed above multiple levels of resistance, the 168.34 level. It closed above the 170 psychological level, closed above the 50 simple moving average, and the 20 exponential moving average. Very, very bullish for Apple. All right, let's take a look at Microsoft. Microsoft also did something that's very, very good. It's clearly trading above the the yellow MACD line, but now it's causing the yellow MACD line to start moving upwards, and that is exactly what we need to see. We also closed above multiple levels of resistance, and a move like this, I believe that there is at least one more day to the upside. So that's why I was bullish heading into the new week. So Amazon, it has earnings next week. I should go ahead and show that chart. Amazon has earnings on Thursday. Facebook has earnings on Wednesday. And Google has earnings on Tuesday. So next week is another huge week of earnings for the tech sector. And currently we can see that Amazon still has not crossed above yet on the MACD level, right? So there's still way more room to the upside on Amazon. And the RSI just became out of oversold conditions, which is, it means that there's still lots more room to the upside. So that's another reason why it made sense to be bullish right now. Because if Microsoft and Apple, we clearly saw there was tons of strength in the MACD, money is going to start funneling into these other less strong trillion-dollar companies. And that's just the way that things will end up going, in my opinion. So Amazon also has more room to the upside here. And Google also closed above major resistance here at 2660, closed above the 10 simple moving average. You can see that the MACD crossed above, still way more room to the upside, and we can see this yellow MACD line starting to flatten out and start to curl up just a little bit, which is very, very bullish. All right, so that's why I think there could be another day to the upside on the markets. And if this movement persists, we can come back and retest, 2750 on Google and beyond on the rest of the market. So it makes sense to be more bullish heading into this next week. So now what we really need to watch out for is the strength of the 30-year bonds. So we already know that if the 30-year bonds are bullish, then the NASDAQ is also bullish. So currently, we see that the MACD line is clearly very far below zero. But because the 30-year bonds have started to basically bottom out here, right? It's caused the yellow MACD line to curl upwards, and the momentum is starting to shift upwards. So like imagine like a wave crashing in. To counteract that wave that's coming in, you need to basically approach it with stronger strength and momentum to basically not only cancel out the momentum coming towards you, but you need to overpower it by bringing more momentum in. Okay, so that's what is going on right now with the 30-year bonds. I hope that made sense. But essentially, this is a pretty good sign. So right now, the RSI is also showing positive divergence all throughout here. As we were falling on the RSI, we were making lower lows, but the RSI was going higher. So, there's positive things to look at in the 30-year bonds. But of course, all of this can literally change overnight if the 30-year bonds start really, really breaking down below these levels of support. So if the 30-year bond starts breaking down below 153.29, and then this low here at 153.07, all bets are off for the entire stock market. This whole little bullish move on the MACD would be cute, but it would cause, if we break down below these levels of support, the market is going to end up making new lows, in my opinion. So right now, it's a good sign that we're bottoming out here and we're moving up to the upside. The bad thing, I mean, number one, we closed above this level of resistance, right? But the bad thing is that we closed below the 20 exponential moving average. So once again, we have to see how this is doing, pre-market on Monday. If pre-market Monday, the 30-year bond is trading above the high of Friday, that would be a good sign. And currently, this is a really good sign that we're starting to bottom out here. And yeah, I mean, having a retest to at least the 38.2% fib is completely plausible here. So if we go ahead and draw this out, the 38.2% fib is basically in correlation with this resistance level here at 157. So if we do go and retest this 157 level on the 30-year bonds, that would mean that the SPY could easily be at 445, 446 at least. So that's why, you know, it makes sense to be bullish in the short term, in my opinion. So the 30-year bonds do look a bit bullish, right? The overall tech stocks, the really, really large tech stocks also look bullish. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ, in terms of the MACD, looks very similar to Amazon, right? So Amazon obviously didn't cross above yet, right? Whereas Apple, Microsoft, and Google did, right? So if Apple, Microsoft, and Google crossed above and showed really good strength, that was basically causing this yellow MACD line to start moving upwards and start heading towards positive again, that is a good indication of why I think the NASDAQ can at least bounce up higher in the short term. The fact that we saw tons of strength coming from the trillion-dollar companies is a very, very good sign, in my opinion, for the NASDAQ. And I do think that that move can start translating into this ETF. So it's very, very important that we also closed above this 350.32 level of resistance. The MACD, once again, very similar to the SPY. It looks like it's about to cross above. This RSI barely moved upwards, right? We held all of these levels of support here very nicely. And essentially, we came back and reclaimed a large chunk of this huge red candle. And we basically engulfed these other two candles, right? So overall, you know, we could see another bullish day. And if we were doing something heading into the weekend, it would not make sense for us to be bearish. So we take these trades basically, you know, on the short term. And right now, because there are so many potential bullish things going into the market into the next week, it would make no sense to be bearish. If we end up gapping down on Monday, it is what it is. But these setups here are just really, really good. And it makes sense to go long heading into Monday. If we can break above this 10 simple moving average on Monday, it'll probably be around 356, 355.50. If we can break above that, then this 358 level is going to be so important to break. If we can break that, then the fun basically starts. We can come back and retest this 200 simple moving average. And especially if the SPY also breaks above the 200 simple moving average, that will be a very, very good sign that the NASDAQ can also come and retest it, because the markets basically follow each other. They take turns. So it would be really nice to see that. And if the NASDAQ can do that, then the IWM can come from the depths of hell and start to retest, you know, above 205, etc. So overall, you know, I'm pretty bullish on the stock market moving forward in the short term. There's really my analysis for the entire stock market. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what's left of the crypto markets to talk about. So not really much left to really talk about here on Bitcoin. We just need to really cross above these levels of resistance. We need to cross above 39 and then 39.6, right? In terms of the indicators, it's a really good sign that the indicators are now starting to curl upwards. The yellow MACD line is starting to move upwards, right? That's a good sign. And to really break this momentum, we need to cross above 39,600. If we can cross above 39,600 soon on Bitcoin, then I believe that the stock market can also head up, and, you know, the SPY will most likely be above 446 by that point. And that would be pretty interesting to see if the correlation between the crypto markets and the stock market continues and persists. But of course, if that's not the case, the fact that we are very overbought on the MACD can be a justification to come back and retest this 32,600 level. You know, at this point, if this momentum continues, it would be a really good sign. But if 36,300 breaks on Bitcoin, then that is most likely going to be very, very bearish for the stock market. It's most likely also going to show weakness in the 30-year bonds. And then, we really need to make sure that 35,700 doesn't break. We start breaking down this uptrend that we have and come back and break down like important levels of support, and it's kind of scary because then it looks like we can come back and retest this low. And then that would mean that the SPY would break new lows as well, in my opinion. So just continuing to key off of the strength of the weakness of Bitcoin, let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum is showing, strength as well. It's a good sign that, Bitcoin was leading this strength, but now Ethereum is starting to follow. So if Ethereum can break back above high here at 27.25, good sign. And it's also a very good sign that this MACD is also curling up. It's showing strength, even though that the yellow, we essentially, this is what we need to see. We need to see the MACD line showing overbought conditions a bit to bring this yellow MACD line up as well. All right. And then, we closed above the 10 simple moving average. Really, the next level of resistance would be the 20 exponential moving average. So we have a long ways to go. If you would want to go long here, you could have a stop below these highs here, below 25.50 for a target of approximately 28. So it's a pretty decent trade on Ethereum if you want to go long here as well. And also we held these two levels of support beautifully. So that's another really, really good sign for the entire crypto market in general. If we can continue to hold 2,300 on Ethereum, we can continue going on higher on Bitcoin and Ethereum, the rest of the crypto markets, and the way it's looking, the rest of the stock market as well. So there's my analysis overall for the entire market. My outlook moving forward into the week is bullish in the short term, but then really all bets are off until we see tech earnings Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But Monday, at least, I'm going to be bullish, right? So make sure to follow me on Twitter. Make sure to follow me on all of the social media platforms. I go ahead and give updates. I post all of my trades live completely for free on Twitter as well. So if you enjoyed my videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for all of your support. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.